Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Reddit Dominions Discord Tournament Finals, Dominion Enhanced. That's long, I need a better name for that, but we've got our first player interview of the tournament, joined by Master Claude. Or is it Cloud or Claude?
Claude.
Okay,
Yeah.
Master Claude, piloting Naba in the tournament. Currently around turn 40, but we'll go over their build and then switch to where they are in the current game state and talk a little bit about how they got there. So we see your build here, obviously playing Naba with the Netherchild Trinity, added E-Path to it for a little bit more reinvig, and then Steigen and Regen. So I assume this is something of a hybrid expansion bless for the Trinity and a Mage bless for
hmm
Naba. Is that accurate?
Yes, it was supposed to do a couple things. And first of all, thanks for hosting. Hi, everyone. Um, yeah, so I do this thing with tournaments where I when I won the running up the previous tournament game, like coming up to this, it was with like an imprisoned rainbow Gath build. And that's like an easy build for me, like doing Hinnom, Gath, Ashdod, and like doing, and I almost did Ashdod again, like a Rainbow Ashdod build, because that's what I'm comfortable with. But I really like to just mess around. So this was just kind of like an experiment to see if I could just do something really weird. Everyone in my all my mentors were like, "This is a bad idea," and I was like, "You're probably right. I want to give it a shot." So this build, the idea is I can if so if people try to rush Nabal a lot, especially in really competitive games. So I was like, maybe I can do a Trinity. So I have three gods to defend. I have Stygian and Regeneration, which will help my Jan Guard. So the expansion was mainly Jan Guard, and it'll also the regen will help the Malika. And magic weapons is utility, reinvigораtion's generally good for mages, and the added Earth Path would make sure the Titans would obviously have higher protection. Although not having Moss Body ended up being a huge problem. So I definitely made a mistake there. This is definitely too expensive of a build because I was expecting last time I did determine I got rushed like turn 8, so I was expecting to get rushed really early, but I just wasn't at all. So I could have gone a dormant and not done terrible scales. Um, and my big issue with this build was doing. I just my scales are just too bad, and it wasn't worth the Titan because with Death 3 and Sloth and Turmoil, I just could not recruit anything. Um, and I've definitely underestimated death because I don't usually take death in my builds. So like I could barely recruit any camels like in other provinces or anything like that. Um, so because of that, and because obviously death makes it the longer the game goes on, the harder it is to recruit units. I would be able to, recruit two camels. Oh, I can only recruit one camel there now. Now I can't recruit any camels. So I was definitely on the clock. So I felt rushed to get into a first war, which I wouldn't have if I didn't take death skills. Um, can I keep talking, or do you want me to? If you
Well,
want to talk,
uh,
I don't want to.
I think that's actually a good pivot point here. So you mentioned rushed into your first war, pulling up the game now. It looks like turn 44, we're on our final stand here against Vanheim. Our viewers will know, having watched the previous turns, though, you and Vanheim actually originally started a war against Ulm. So take
Mm-hmm.
me through your thinking. You come out of expansion. You did pretty well with the Trinity. You had good research as well. Why was Ulm your first target?
That was just a matter of um, just a bad choice. So I originally was going. Me and Ulm were going to fight Vanheim, and which would have been a far better deal. I wanted to fight End originally because people were trying to fight End, but End had a Trinity, and I was like, I don't really want to go Trinity versus Trinity. That sounds like a very messy situation. Satis was to my west, and we didn't have. I don't remember us having. I think we had a body of water between us or something. I don't remember exactly, but there was some reason why I didn't really want to fight Satis. But I was gonna fight Vanheim, and I think I got overconfident. I think Ulm seemed weaker, Um,
They
but the
were
trick with
small,
Ulm,
to be frank. Their expansion, I believe, was the weakest in the game.
yeah, I think I saw the weak expansion. I was like, oh, I'll just go half and half with Vanheim. But here's the problem, and this is a good thing lesson for anyone else who plays the game. If you see a weak Ulm, especially in the early game, that does not mean they're a weak. Like when I say weak, I mean small. Like if they lose their whole army, that's one thing. But Ulm has incredible ability to mass troops. So even if they have, I mean, and I think that player had like 3 forts in one spot. So they just mass troops, and it's like almost impenetrable, especially when you have a Mockley force like my build. So I had like camels, Jangard, and my gods. None of those were really equipped to deal with Ulm. I also didn't test enough with how flaming arrows did nothing against Ulmish troops. My Jangard were not good enough. Um, and also Vanheim wasn't. They didn't really. If you end up if you watch the whole thing, Vanheim didn't really fight Ulm that much. They raided a little bit, but I did the majority of like I don't remember seeing them bring an army at all.
No, they
Maybe
did
that's
not.
a problem. Yeah. So like, and then Vanheim just betrayed me once I lost. So
What
I
happened there?
definitely
Take us through that. Was it directly after that large battle where you lost a large number of your Jan Guard?
it was yes. So
Okay,
yeah,
so they
Vanheim
pivoted
didn't really.
fast.
Vanheim did not, and this is just don't ever make alliances with elves. It's never a good idea. Kill the elves. Especially like so I just blundered. I got a little overzealous. I was like, oh, we can do this like this thing. And also, in general, it's not a good idea. Like, I didn't make an agreement with Ulm. I was just kind of talking about it. But like, if you do that in general, it's better to stick with your gut instead of changing your mind. Like, I'm not gonna if I make an alliance, like we're gonna do this war. I'm not gonna betray someone. But if your gut says to go against Vanheim and then you like second guess it because Ulm's weak, don't do that. Just stick with what your gut said most of the time. Um, because usually at least I like to second guess myself, and that's what happened there. Because yeah, Vanheim basically just raided a little bit and then immediately went on me, and then Ulm was able to get on me, and at that point, I made a deal with Ulm. I was like, okay, I'll let me get my capsules because I think I beat back Ulm's army with like elementals and a god and stuff. So I was like, let's go on Vanheim. So then we both fight Vanheim together, but Vanheim just had a very strong build, and I did not have the research or the numbers at this point to beat them, and they were able to just beat me in every fight, other than a couple raids.
And let's take a look at your research quickly here. Looks like a fairly standard elemental Evo type pathing for fire elementals, air elementals, and obviously storm and T strike. Um, would you have changed anything from a research perspective in hindsight?
I definitely would have waited because I was overconfident and I invaded Ulm with not enough. I invaded Ulm before I had Conjuration 5, so that was a huge mistake. That would have made a huge difference. That could have fixed everything if I just waited. But I was like 2 turns from it. And I was like, let's just do this. Like I was like, I got this. And when they beat me on that big turn, I don't have. I'm not in my at my computer right now, but there was a reason I thought I was going to be able to win. I think I had a lot of numbers. I think my god was there, and I definitely expected my gods to do better in this game. From my testing, and I think that's kind of where, if I could do it again with a similar build, I would do a dormant titan with just moss body, like moss body, iron skin, like the normal kind of fizz moss kind of thing. Because that would have made a huge difference, I
Hmm.
think.
And then you mentioned obviously the dynamics between yourself, Vanheim, and Ulm. How was the Diplo from your perspective with the other players in the game?
Oh, it was great actually. It was very fun. I had a good relationship with End. We squabbled a bit in the beginning about like lands, but we worked it out and never really bothered each other because everyone was trying to fight End. It seemed. Although my scouting wasn't perfect because I was always gold hungry this game because my skills were literally trash. Me and Satis had a great relationship. Satis would send me items till the very end. Like my final super combatant, that unfortunately died because like I just could not I could not hurt Vanheim with my super combatants. But a lot of them were kitted by Satis. Like Satis was sending me stuff, so I death basketed Satis. And I hope they win. They were a solid neighbor. And Ulm was a great neighbor, because I attacked them, even though we had been discussing working together when I really shouldn't have attacked them. So I probably kind of messed up the game, which is a blunder on my part. And then they still were able to like work with me later. So, and I also just like that player. We played another game with some mods that I made. So, I think it's Volthar. So like, and then honestly, Dan with Vanheim, I can't blame him for, it's a tournament. I can't really get that mad about has in a tournament, especially. You can't expect people to do an alliance. Like it's great to be like, oh, it's 2v1 someone, but like if you can't go in expecting they're gonna 2v1 them. Like that's just not how tournaments go most of the time. So that was maybe me being a bit too trusting, but he never lied. Like I mean, maybe he lied. Uh, maybe I won't trust him in another game explicitly to like help me in a war, but like I don't think he played unfairly or anything like that. So it was I had a great time playing with everyone, and diplomatically I really didn't have an issue with my neighbors. I really could have gone just full scales because I clearly didn't have an issue with being people trying to rush me. Um,
And looking in the game right now, you seem to have lost Dominion in your capital, but your capital's sitting on growth 3. Were you able to leverage a ritual to overcome the growth scales, or is that just the flip from hostile Dominion?
I think that's the flip. I know Nabah has a site that gives growth, but I did not notice that helping at all. I thought it helped more. I was kind of confused in the mechanics there because during testing, I had not very much death, but I had like full death this game, if I remember correctly, which is part of like what made me feel on the clock. So I don't really understand how the growth mechanic works with Nabah's site, but I believe, yeah, I believe the growth 3 is from them because I was not sitting on growth 3 at any point.
Okay. And then you mentioned Satis obviously is the horse you're backing. Um, Besides them, what's your feeling on the current game state as we are turn 44? Who else do you think's got a shot at taking home the prize?
I wish I could give you a better answer, but my scope of the game was so limited to my sphere that I never really branched out. I talked with like I think Shimbala a little bit, the Shimbala player a little bit a while ago, but I've really been like focused on my wars with Ulm and Vanheim to where, and my diplomacy with Citizen End, that I don't really know what's going on in the rest of the world. So yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see a map at some point, or I'd love to watch. Excited to see the rest, like the when you post this video, like see what else was going on. But yeah, I really don't know.
Yep. Well, makes sense. Any final tidbits or information you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yeah, don't do my build. Um, and have fun.
Well, Master Claude, it's been a pleasure. I was in your qualifier game that you won as Gath, and it was very well played. And unfortunate circumstance here, but um, at least you put on a good show.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for hosting. I had a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm not saying don't do crazy builds, just test them a bit more when you do crazy builds. Because yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Torsten.
Thank you.